Good afternoon, respected our most venerable Dr. Dhammasami, all Mahatheras, venerable names, distinguished scholars, guests, and esteemed participants. Now let me proceed our afternoon sections. Welcome again to the 11th International Conference on the Endeavours of Prominent Figures in Teaching and Practicing Buddhism. Before we start our paper presentation, may I take your attention? Please enter your conference and take your seats, including our venerable speakers, moderator, distinguished participants. For the ones joining via online, you all are almost welcome again, and please be ready. Our honorable prisoners as well as our esteemed participants. Meanwhile, may I take a humble request for your cooperation during this event. Please contribute your kindness being silent your mobile phones to keep section 3 smoothly. For online participants, please mute yourself during the presentation time. To keep your inquiries for the conference, we have a question and answer section for each presentation. I do appreciate your active participation. As usual, we will proceed 3 sections in this afternoon in marking of the 60th birthday celebration of our most venerable Professor Dr. Dhammasami. I'm Siali Madeja from Shan State Buddhist University. This is my honor to serve as an MC for section 3 in this afternoon. In section 3, we have 4 speakers: Dr. Pipyoja from UK, Venerable Dr. Varajnana from Myanmar, Venerable Dr. Prasanawati from Nepal, and Suknath Bhattacharya from India. 3 were present from abroad virtually, and 1 is personally here. Before we conduct our paper presentation, may I greet with our moderator briefly commenting on her biography. The Venerable Dr. Yusana Nyani, she is currently holding the position of Associate Professor at the Department of Abhidhamma, International Theravada Buddhist Missionary University, ITPMU, in Yangon since 2000, Lecturer of Abhidhamma at SSBU since 2017, and the Principal of Sakyadita Buddhist College, SBC, since 2017 as of today. With her excellency in Abhidhamma, now she is conducting her teaching in Abhidhamma, local and abroad. In 1995, she won Bachelor of Myanmar Language from University of Distance Education, qualifying to pursue master degree class. She's got Doctor of Philosophy in Buddhist Studies in 2015, MPhil in Buddhist Studies in 2010 from the University of Delhi with first division distinction. She has won Master of Buddha Dhamma, ITPMU, Abhidhamma specialization in 2005, and Bachelor of Buddha Dhamma in 2002 from ITPMU as the winner of first prize gold medalist. Her research area covers Abhidhamma, contemporary psychology, and neuroscience in relation to emotion and meditation. She has been an Abhidhamma teaching assistant to the most prestigious Venerable Sayadaw, Dr. Nanda Malabiwansa, in 2008 in local and abroad. The Venerable Dr. Yusana Nyani will be the moderator in these sections. Now, may I invite our Venerable Dr. Yusana Nyani to proceed our sections as a moderator and CIGPR. Now, the floor is yours.
Yes, very good afternoon, and welcome back again to the afternoon session, and my most deep respect to the most Venerable Rector Sayadaw, our esteemed audience. Welcome back again to the 11th International Conference on the Endeavours of Prominent Figures in Teaching and Practicing Buddhism in honor of the 60th birthday celebrations of the Most Venerable Oxford Sayadaw, Professor Dr. Dhammasami, founder and rector of Shan State Buddhist University, held here at SSBU from 7th to 8th November 2024. So this is the first paper presentation session for the afternoon, and I will be the moderator, and thank you MC for introducing me. So in this session, we will have 4 speakers as MC has already announced, and the first keynote speaker is Dr. Pipyoja. And since Dr. Pipyoja is online, let me briefly introduce our keynote speaker to the audience. Dr. Pye Phyo is Senior Lecturer in Theravada Studies at Shan State Buddhist University, Daungji, Myanmar. And actually, Dr. Pye is the former Dean of the Academic Affairs and also a co-founder with Sayadaw for the SSBU, and has worked very hard for the establishment of SSBU. And we are ever grateful for her effort and endeavor. She's also a tutor in Buddhist studies at University of Oxford, and she studied BA in Economics and Management at Oxford University before completing her MA in Buddhist studies at SOAS, University of London in 2010, and her PhD in Buddhist philosophy at King's College London in 2014. She has undertaken meditation practice within different meditation traditions in Myanmar since 2005, and she is also an instructor of Vipassana meditation in Budapest, Hungary. So at the same time, we are also honored to welcome Professor Dr. Kate Crosby, Namuta Professor of Buddhist Studies, who is also joining us online. So without taking much of your time, I would like to warmly welcome our former Dean, Dr. Pye Phyo, to deliver a keynote speech on Ashin Adeja Wamsa, the first Burmese bhikkhu in England. Dr. Pye, the floor is yours.
So I would like to pay respect to our Rector, Venerable Dr. Dhammasami, and I'm here, and I would like to wish a very happy birthday to Sayadaw. And as I was saying, Sayadaw is my first meditation teacher as well as my first Abhidhamma teacher. This morning I was just recollecting the time that I have met Sayadaw the very first time, as well as on many occasions since I think it was in 1997 or 1998, around that time, so many years ago. And this, and also Sayadaw, I would like to thank you for inviting me to give this keynote lecture. This is my in this keynote speech, as it went, I would like to celebrate missionaries, global missionaries, and especially who are monastic pioneers, and also this is very fitting for the occasion because we are now celebrating 60th birthday of our Rector Sayadaw, and as we all know, the effort and the time and the effort that Sayadaw has taken over many years to do so many missionary work, and not just in Myanmar but also abroad as well. So in this research and in this talk, what I want to look at is, yes, we are going to look at Ashin Adesa with that, or Adesa with that.
Recording in progress.
The first Burmese bhikkhu in the UK. But also I would like to explore a little bit more in terms of monastic pioneers as unique treasure, what I call unique treasures, because it's really looking at how common characteristics among these pioneers. So in this lecture, we are going to be looking at not just Ashin Adesawanda, but also Sayadaw Udaitila, and Sayadaw Ashin Ukata, as well as also Sayadaw, our Rector Sayadaw's work. In order for us to think about the the key roles that they have played in bringing Buddhism and Buddhist teachings to global stage. And not just in global stage, but also how they then take all the things that they have learned from international education system that they have they have gone through back to Myanmar, as well as kind of contributing to development of Myanmar as a country. So this is what I would like to present in this lecture. One thing that also trying to think about various aspects in terms of not just key kind of activities that they have done, but also various other challenges, because they all have gone to India, Sri Lanka, in other places to gain education. And one of the kind of findings that I came out from this research is how much they all have to struggle abroad in order to survive and achieve, especially Adesa Wunda, where we will come to see how he kind of had to really struggle in London. So this is kind of let's kind of look at Sayadaw's Adesa Wunda background first. So as we all know, well, as we may know, he was born in Yementing. Yementing is a town in Upper Burma. So this is just to kind of give you a background in the sense that how his village life or his earlier childhood kind of may have shaped his kind of endeavor over many years. So he was actually born into, according to his autobiography, affluent family. So his father was kind of traditional Burmese medical doctor as well. He practices indigenous medicine. But not only that, it seems like they had farms and kind of farming is one of their family business as well. And not only that, his mother was also very, she from the autobiography, she sounded like very much cultured in the sense of teaching various Buddhist, cultural aspect from a very young age. And Venerable Aditya Wansa was born with this kind of unique ability. Ashen Aditya Wansa was born with this kind of unique ability to recall past two lives. And the first life was that he could recall was the immediate past life, in which he was a woman, and because of this kind of recollection, he also had this tendency to wear longi and girls' clothing as it were until about 5 years old. That's according to his biography. Not only immediate past life, but also the life before that. The life before that, he was a man in that life. So in that life, he was married, but he didn't. I think he was disabled in the sense of he lost one sight in one eye, and then he was left with two children when his wife passed away. So it seems that there's some kind of quite a lot of struggle in that life. So with this kind of background in a sense that he was always kind of, seems to be very sharp as well, in a sense that he was able to learn quite a lot of, traditional monastic education, as it were, at village monastery. Not only that, he was able to learn kind of family business matters in a sense of he was taught astrology, bathing from a young age. He probably was taught some kind of indigenous medicine as well. And also he was also looking after various paperwork for farming business. So he had that kind of very affluent upbringing. In his autobiography, he writes in Burmese, 血迹 묘지. So he had this kind of communal support from many other villages in his home region. But one thing that is really striking when I was reading his autobiography and also other sources was he had no kind of fixed place. So he was always moving around in order to gain education. So he was in Mandalay from a very young age. I think it was 14. When he was 14, he went to Mandalay and as a novice, tried to study. But very soon after, 1 year after, he came to kind of disagreement with one of the teachers. So very, very young age, he left the monastery and he went back to his hometown. And then at that time, he wanted to learn English. And, from a very young age, he had this ambition to learn English, the English language. And that's where he wanted to kind of go to Molamyai, where he kind of did some research that he could learn English there. So he just ran away from home without telling his parents. And but partway through, his father came and got him back home. So that's kind of, it shows how much active he was in his kind of own education. So various other, since then, he then ended up in Pyoboy, another town in Upper Burma, and then he was in Inwa and Zagai region trying to kind of learn various monastic syllabus around that time, around that region, and also. So by the time that he got to Inwa and Zagai, he was able to kind of master or cover very kind of basic monastic education and completed the monastic education syllabus at that time. But he was not happy by that, and he wanted to learn more. So he sought out kind of trying to find research on, the Bakokuni. I think he went there briefly to see for himself that, the technique of Bakoku monastic education system. And in his biography, he said that he was not satisfied by Bakoku method. So he then went to Nyangdong. This is kind of a town in Lower Burma, quite near to Yangon, where he studied under a bhikkhu, a Sayadaw, who wrote, I think it's one of the kind of Abhidharma texts, as well as kind of know more about Sanskrit and other languages. So that's where he ended up studying Sanskrit and in Yangdong. This Sayadaw also was quite well known for English, having learned the English language as well. But at that time, Sayadaw Adesawanda was not kind of had this. By that time, he then lost interest in English language, and he had this view that learning English was kind of Mesa deity or Mecha deity wrong view. So which was held by quite a lot of majority of the Sangha at that time. So he did not study English in Nyangdong, but he studied Sanskrit. So that's what I mean by this kind of, in terms of education, it's very piecemeal. So very mixed subject. During the time when he was in Byorwe, he was also learning, or just before that, he was also learning mathematics as well. So he had kind of very mixed subject as well. So traditional Buddhist texts, studying monastic syllabus, but also mathematics, Sanskrit. At this time, no English, not at the moment. So that was his kind of background. And then from then on, by the time that 1910, I think around that time he was already a bhikkhu, so got a higher ordination, and I think it was during his fifth rains retreat that he felt like he completed the syllabus, and then he was able to teach and start writing. So he, by that time, he started writing quite a fair bit. I think he wrote under a pen name called Pinya Uposa or something like that. And this kind of writing in newspaper column. So he was very much kind of in favor of print media and using quite kind of efficiently as well as imaginatively. So that was his way of writing. And by the time 1916, he wrote his very first kind of concrete text, which is Milena Penya Nisaya. And that, I think that is still in use in Myanmar at the moment. And so from that on, he wrote quite a lot of texts based on his autobiography in one of the books. At least by that time, he was by I think 1930s, he was writing about 40 books. In 1917, after teaching at Molemyang for a few years, he then decided to move to Yangon, where by that time he got round about kind of 50 monastic disciples, and he was kind of invited to stay and establish a Shan Adesawanda Jangdai in Yangon. It was in Bazondang Township, and it was built on an old cemetery. And so by that time, he was really kind of thinking about, okay, what do I want to do next? That kind of thing, because he has now become an abbot of a monastery. He wanted to know more. And by that time, his thirst for learning English and other languages came back, it seems. And that's when he decided, and also he consulted with his senior disciple. One of them is Shan Udaytila, Sayadaw Udaytila. So he consulted with Sayadaw Udaytila or Udaytila at that time, who was his disciple, as well as another senior monk, a senior disciple. And he then decided that he would go to India to study languages and other subjects. Just a brief kind of note that he disrobed in 1942. We will come back to that point. So let's look a little bit in terms of his years abroad. And in terms of, so basically, he spent about 9 years abroad. And this is kind of a brief timeline of where he was in, when he was abroad. So he arrived to India around 1980, and he stayed mainly in Varanasi in order to learn various languages. According to his autobiography, he learned Hindi first for about 1 year. After that, he then revisited Sanskrit because in Yangdong, remember, he started learning Sanskrit at that time. And then he moved on to Urdu, and then English was the next language that he learned. But he was always kind of very keen on English, and persistently he went back and he continued learning English as it went. And then after that, he learned Bengalis or Punjabi, as well as Japanese languages. So these kind of different languages that he kind of accumulated over the years. And by the time 1922, he was probably visiting the Mahabodhi Society in Calcutta, which Mahabodhi Society, as you may know, was one of the kind of earliest Buddhist societies and Buddhist organization that was established. And Professor K. Crosby will say more about that. In various, Mahabodhi Society was established in Ceylon, India, and various other places as well. So, but it seems that Mahabodhi Society in Calcutta was the center where various Buddhists from various countries came and meet. And at that place, by that time, Shin Uogata was kind of in reach to India in 1922. They met there, and they stayed there for about 6 weeks, and then in many ways, Shin Adesawanta kind of took Shin Uogata under his wing, as it were, because Shin Uogata was a younger kind of disciple. He became like a disciple. He was very influenced by Shin Adesawanta, as we can see from the various events between 1923 and 1926. Okay, so they then went back to Varanasi, where they started kind of attending various conferences, seminars, engagement with various other kind of religious traditions. Shin Uogata by that time started learning English in Varanasi as well. And Shin Adesawanta also encouraged Shin Uogata to take part in debates on, for example, vegetarianism, or about the nature of God, and so forth. And also they also visited various religious religious sites, and you know, it seems like they travel around India. One of the kind of recollection based on recollection that Sayadaw Wolgata kind of had on Shin Adesawanda was where he was kind of, when they were staying in Varanasi, Shin Wolgata was the one who would go out and buy, buy things from market, and then Shin Adesawanda would be the one who would be staying back, and then probably looking after and cooking or something like that. You know, that kind of sharing. So you can see how they were very much close. But towards the end of kind of like his stay in Ajahn Adesa, when that stays in India, he struggled to raise funds for his own kind of upkeeping in India. Just a brief note about Shin Urgatal's kind of sponsor at during while he was staying. So he had kind of monthly donation from two lay people or lay women from Myanmar. And altogether he received like 60 jets around that time. So it's quite a substantial amount of money. Going back to Shin Adesa with that kind of financial situation as well, he was until he met or he got donation from Sibo Sowa or Tibo Sowa. Probably, I think when I looked up who might have been the Tibo Sowa, it's Sao Kong probably. I don't have the records, so I cannot say, but it seems that he might have been the donor or the sponsor who donated 50 jets per month for Ajahn Adesawanda to stay in and continue studying in India. But at that time, he really wanted to kind of extend his study and his knowledge of English language, and wanted to kind of travel to the UK, to England, and as soon as he made that resolution, he started finding raising funds, but he couldn't do that from Myanmar devotees. So until he met one of their kind of probably a local well-off family, and Mr. Chowdhury, who ended up sponsoring him, but at the same time traveling to England with him. So I will explain the journey a little bit later, but that's what they did. So they first went to Ceylon or Sri Lanka, and then from there they took a steamship to England, and Mr. Chowdhury was kind of accompanying him, and then he arrived in London, and kind of stayed. He arrived on the 8th of January 1926. This date is quite confusing. I will come back to that and show the evidence, if you will, because in his own biography, he wrote that he left Sri Lanka on the 28th, 28th of December 1929, and then he arrived to London on 8th of January 1929, not 26. So I was, while I was doing my research, that was kind of a block, because the various evidence from various sources doesn't really, they don't match with his autobiography. Anyway, so he stayed, and then he first went to the Burma Club. In his autobiography, he said Burma Club in London, and stayed there for a week. But we only know where he stayed, at that time. But since then, we don't know where he stayed in London. Basically, we don't have his address, apart from this Burma Club. But we know that he visited the Buddhist Society in London, and participated in Vesak celebration in May 1926. And according to his biography, he said that he almost died, and he was writing a lot of struggles, or in Burmese he wrote dukha ri mya ni de, yan dukha yauk de, and these kind of terminologies. But amazingly, he wrote. He still wrote a lot of articles, and sending off these articles to back to Myanmar, and publishing in Turiya newspaper, that kind of thing. And then in 1928, he made his way back to Myanmar. So I want to show you a little bit kind of documentations behind his journey. So when I did the research, I found the records of his arrival, and that's really was really a relief for me, because this confusion about his dates and various sources saying various things it was kind of like a mental block for me. But I came across this document where I don't think you can see clearly, but I will show you in later slides where the dates and everything. But here, this is a paper documentation where you can see there were 3 people from Burma, or rather kind of from joining from India. 2 of them were from Myanmar. So Shan Adesawanda here. And then there was also Mr. M, I think it's Shui Mian or something like that here. And yes, Sayadaw was, Shan Adesawanda was classified as priest. And this person, another person, Burmese person from, is a student. He was a student. So, and then this is Mr. Chowdhury, the one who accompanying Shan Adesawanda. And notice that this is the kind of the description of this documentation, names and description of alien passengers. So meaning that it's coming from abroad or foreign countries. Right. So this is a digital version of arrival records of Shan Adesawanda. You can see here the kind of spellings and various things. So he arrived at the age of 45. I think this birth date is because of the we use Myanmar calendar, right? So it's trying to convert that into international or English calendar. That's why we ended up with about 1881. And in his biography, he wrote, it was really helpful for me to trace this, because he wrote Orient Line company, and then he kind of indicated the ship name that he sailed on. So ship name is Odyssey, and so this is kind of a really interesting piece of data, and we also have a record for Mr. Chowdhury, and you can see here he was 26. I think his parents might have been kind of very kind of well off, so he was able to kind of sponsor, and he he came as a student to England. We don't know what happened to him. I don't know what happened to him yet, because more research is needed on this. And this is the ship that Sayadaw Shan Adesawanta took. So this ship was kind of the first maiden voyage was made in 1909. And then it was scrapped in Glasgow, in Scotland, in 1930. So that's when she retired, as it were. And this is the kind of the ports on the way that they have stopped. So from Ceylon to Egypt, Port Said, and then to France, and then Gibraltar, and to London. So that's the route that he took. On the way back, we don't know yet, but it's very possible that we can see how he might have visited, France, as the ship was kind of docking and so forth. So it's really kind of interesting things to see, because when I was doing this research, for some reason in my mind there was this kind of the plane, but at that time, all there was no plane, so they had to rely on ship. And I was always kind of thinking, how could have he had been kind of stopping in various places, but this is the way. And this is the photo of where Shan Adesawanta and Mr. Chowdhury stayed for about a week. And this is in Hammersmith in London. Our Rectors, Sayadaw will know, and where this location is, Burma Societies Club. Okay, it's very interesting where this is a club where Burmese students at that time they came together, and before they went off to, say, Cambridge or Oxford or Edinburgh, other university. So a lot of Burmese students at that time they stayed here. And so we are now going to look at briefly the kind of mention of his Shan Adesawanta's presence in England. And this is, as you can see, Sayadaw wrote the significance of Vesak in Buddhism in England journal, which was the origin of middle way journal that the Buddhist Society publishes. Even nowadays, it stays ongoing. But before that, it was called Buddhism in England, and this is the first volume, which was published in May 1926, and Sayadaw wrote this piece. A short piece, but still very significant. And you can see here, this is a transcript of what he wrote. So he wrote, the Lord Buddha attained supreme enlightenment in this world on the full moon day of Vesak and the month of May. So it was very fitting how, at that year and at that moment he arrived and he was able to participate and actually contribute to one of the earliest journal, Buddhist journal in England, and we have this record. It's really amazing, and next kind of in July edition, we can see how Sayadaw Ashin Adesa Winda actually participated in Vesak celebration, and she gave a short talk on verse Dhammapada verse 21. One thing that I want to highlight here, which for me is really interesting, how the language is being kind of changed and used, or was used at that time, and then gradually in Buddhist studies we have kind of changed the terminology. So, for example, if we go back to this piece, we can see here what is the meaning of the words of this famous hymn. Hymn is referring to this gatha that so it's a term that resonates quite well with Christianity and Christian understanding and kind of religious texts. And again here, I mean, on this slide, I gave a kind of a modern version of this translation, a modern translation of this verse. But if we look at the original usage, they talk about the earnest, the spiritual value of earnest. So Abhamada, we normally would translate nowadays, would translate it as mindfulness, or diligence, vigilance, that kind of thing. But here it's more about being earnest. So it's quite interesting for me to see that kind of shift. So another record of him being here is in this book written by Christmas Humphrey, who was the chairman of the Buddhist Lodge. At that time, it was called Buddhist Lodge, London Buddhist Society. And in this book, he wrote and he recorded the Bhikkhu Adesa Winda. Okay, so this is the record of his being kind of present in London, in England, and as we all know, Shin Ananda Maitreya, who was kind of well known as a first bhikkhu in England, who was ordained in Burma or in Myanmar. So this is the portrait that you saw was Ananda Maitreya's portrait. Now I want to kind of highlight very briefly the kind of writings of Sayadaw Ashin Adesa Winda. And this is kind of, like I said, he was writing quite a lot from England and publishing. So his column in Turiya Turiya newspaper is called A Letter on a Course of the development of Myanmar. So Myanmar Ji Bwa Yi အကြောင်းစာ So here this is just an example of the topics that he wrote. So he was talking about importance of harmony. He gave various examples how disharmony causes a lot of problems. Pervasiveness of others' religions, especially Christian missionaries in Myanmar at that time, about meat eating or meat industry. And this piece, when I was doing research for a different paper, I came across this, and this was mainly about meat eating, but also at that time in 1920s in Myanmar, many people were very much concerned about meat industry because they saw a high increase of meat consumption, not just beef, but meat in general. And there were quite a lot of debates about this, and also a lot of really interesting cartoons. Sai Ubajan drew a lot of cartoons about this, at least 4 or 5 pieces of cartoons that I have gathered about meat eating. Okay.
Dr. D,
Uh,
excuse me. Yes, it's
yes,
interesting that you have made a lot of research on this. And could you please wind up in about 5 minutes? Thank you very much.
yes, I will.
I wish we could give full time, yeah, but have more sessions later. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Um, so here we can see also very much kind of meat consumption and the effect of meat industry on climate as well. So he was talking about that. Very briefly, after that, he reflected on his years abroad, and he came to 2 conclusions when he returned to Myanmar, and he started working on promoting learning languages, not just English languages among monks, so that they can go abroad and promote Buddhism. But he also saw importance of teaching Pariyatti, the Buddhist scriptures, through systematic methods as well. So this was also very important for promotion of Buddhism. So that was his kind of conclusion, and all of his effort after that actually kind of went into that. Briefly, another really interesting point is that for him, this belief that Buddha Sasana will decline, will last for 5,000 years, it doesn't mean that we cannot actively do things. It means that we can actually actively do things to prevent this decline of Sasana. So here, that was very important. And quite a lot of controversies in later years that he faced was mainly kind of came out from that kind of belief. Like I said, he disrobed and then got married, but at the same time he was still teaching, like many other lay teachers who was a monk, former monk, and then they ended up kind of teaching in some way or another after disrobing. So very quickly, this is just to kind of highlight various connections with Ashin Adesa Wanda. So Utaitila you saw, and Ashin Adesa Wanda was the preceptor of Utaitila. I won't spend too much time on it. I also want to highlight Ashin Uogata. I mentioned very briefly how they kind of encounter in India. Finally, kind of going through very quickly, I know that there will be a paper about our Rector Sayadaw at the conference. But here I want to focus a little bit or talk about briefly about his founding and the kind of things that he did. Sayadaw has done in the UK. So Oswald Buddha Vihara, that's very we all know that Sayadaw founded this temple here. But one thing that I want to highlight here is how diverse people are. So this picture shows Venerable Dr. Pinyawansa or Pinyawanda. He is now back in Myanmar, but I want to highlight how Sayadaw actually tried to accommodate various visiting monks, monks from various traditions. So we can see here Venerable Tuan, who is now the visiting resident at Oswald Buddha Vihara and doing his PhD. So you can see how education play a role. And also another very important point, which we can see the importance of this diplomacy. So how to bring communities together. Sayadaw has been doing that work for many years. And this is an example of it where we can see monks from various traditions coming together to consecrate Sima or Thing in Oswald Buddha Vihara here in England. So very conclusions. Sorry about rushing through, but this is kind of the idea that I want to convey here is these pioneers, monastic pioneers, they are unique treasure, but they have common characteristics. They are polymath and they are internationally educated, but they all work to promote Buddhism at home and abroad, and also promoting development of Myanmar. And education and languages are at the center of their effort. And they also have very strong resolution to achieve their aims, whatever their aim might be. I mean, mainly about promotion of Buddhism and development, but overcoming many obstacles. So that's what we can see here. But uniqueness, because of their diverse experiences and personal trait, is very interesting to see how they navigate different aspects, okay, and different ways of engaging with the Sangha and the public. Okay, and some face more adversity than others. So if we go back to our main Sayadaw Adesawanda, as we all know, he faced quite a lot of adversities in his activities in Myanmar. Okay, so I want to stop here. I don't think I have time for questions. Do we have time for questions, Siali?
What about Sayadaw? Yeah. And we have question for Dr. P. Yes. Thank you very much, Dr. P, for touching upon very interesting topic. And actually, yes, as you mentioned earlier in your abstract, Sayadaw has been like sort of neglected or sidelined and forgotten as a pioneer in bringing Buddhist teaching as a Burmese bhikkhu to England, and how his strong resolution could overcome all the adversities and challenges, and like how his skills and enthusiasm in writing articles and sent back home, even among the difficulties, and how it came to be mentioned in the British Journal. And also that your keynote speech has touched upon many important points about the reflection of the culture and tradition of the time, bringing back the history, and how the Buddhist missionary Myanmar monks have, through the lineage, have carried out this very important task of propagating Buddhist teaching. Yes, so as our Rector Sayadaw has kindly agreed that we would like to open the floor for one or two comments and questions. I would like to invite our Rector Sayadaw, please.
Thank you to the Professor for this research. I think we don't know much about Shan. Yes, I also came across his writing in the Middle Journal, which we have a copy here at SSPU library. But I read that at Portland years ago. The Burmese monks before me, and also who had to work a lot to overcome various obstacles to build to the spread of Buddhism in England. There are a few others like Venerable Dr. and also Sayadaw Ashinyanika. You know Sayadaw. They were all, both were educated in India as well. Both of them were educated in India, and from India they went to England, and they established a community of their own. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Sayadaw, for the information. And also, yes, I didn't have time to include their work as well, because when I first got here, Sayadaw Uyewada was in Birmingham. So as you know, so I met him, and then he was also always kind of talking about his experience in India, which was really interesting and insightful.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. P, for your impressive and very informative keynote speech. It gave us lots of inspiration and motivation to keep going. So kindly let me proceed to call upon another speaker. Thank you once again, Dr. P. Yeah, thank you. So since our next speaker, Venerable Dr. Vajrayana, is here, then he would be talking upon a hidden history of a Buddhist monk who played an important role for the revival of Buddhism in India. So prior to his presentation, let me introduce our panelists, the speaker, to the audience. Venerable Vajrayana was born in Rakhine State, Western Myanmar, and he has become a novice since 12 years old. And at the age of 19, he taught basic Buddhist texts to young novices and became a lecturer in higher Buddhist texts in Dhammasami degree to the monks. So in 2014, he received his MA degree in Buddhist Studies in 2014 from the Postgraduate Institute of Pali and Buddhist Studies, University of Kelaniya in Sri Lanka. Notably, he was appointed as an editor in Langada Dhamman Journey, which is organized and published by a group of student monks from Myanmar to Sri Lanka. He was also appointed as a visiting lecturer at PGI BBS, University of Kelaniya, during the academic year of 2019. And he completed his doctorate degree from the same university in 2020. And it is noted that he had made research on a critical study of concept of motivation in Buddhist Jataka story. In 2021, he also extended his knowledge in the field of Buddhist psychology by joining another MA course on Master of Arts in Buddhist Ayurvedic Counseling. So currently he is working as one of the leading implementation committee members of Rakkhapura Buddhist University, RBU, located in Sidwe, Rakhine State, Myanmar. And Venerable is also working as a registrar and lecturer on Buddhist counseling psychology at the Mahavihara Dhamma Vinaya University in Yangon, Myanmar. So I would like to invite Venerable Dr. Varajnana to make presentation on this very interesting topic. Now the floor is yours, Venerable.
Good afternoon to you all.
Good afternoon, Venerable.
Good afternoon to the most Venerable Rector Sayadaw, founder of SSPU. I'm very honored, happy to be in this very event. The 11th International Conference on the Endeavour of prominent figure in teaching and practicing Buddhism. In honor of the 60th Buddhist celebrations of the most Venerable Oxpo Sayadaw. So today, in this conference as a speaker, again, I'm an honor. So you see that my title, A Hidden History of the Buddhist Monks Who Play an Important Role in Revival of Buddhism in India. So how about this? I missed one word. It's okay. Even in the title. So let's move the next slide, please. Yes, there is Venerable, that I mean the one who play an important role, Venerable Chandra Muni. So in the Burmese Pali, the way in Burmese we pronounce Sandara Muni, but let me pronounce in the somewhat international sense, Chandra Muni, in Sanskrit sense. Indian people call him Baba Chandra Muni. 1876 to 1972. Yes, please, next slide. That is the contents that I'm going to present based on. 7 categories. Actually, there are 6 main categories there. Number 1, short introduction to form and race of Buddhism in India, especially based on 2 faithful tragedies and 3 fortunate accounts. Number 2, 5 pioneers for the Buddhist revival movement in India. Number 3, Venerable Chandramuni, young and adult life. Number 4, Venerable Chandramuni contributions. Number 6, maybe, is a conclusion. So later on, some of the image or memorial. The first short introduction to force and race of Buddhism in India, 2 faithful tragedies and 3 fortunate accounts. So mostly is normally, you may have already seen, raise and fall or something, India or, but my title is something, you see that force and race, compulsively. But why I say that, because I'm not going to go back as a long history of Buddhism in India, but relevant history. There are 2 faithful tragedies, historical account tell us 2 faithful history, how Buddhism fall in India. In 4th century, the 4th century, the Han king, known as Mihirakula, who was Bavarian, invaded, invaded India and banned on destroying Buddhist establishment. That is one. Another one is the 6th century. The first one is 5th century. Second, in the 5th century, 6th century AD, this king, Mihirukula, was subjugated by Yasoda Dhamma Mandasur, the ruler of Malwa Empire in northern India. So these two kings, two rulers, were said to be the most responsible for the decline and devastation of Buddhism in India. So it was reported the Chinese Buddhist monk in the 7th century who crossed through the Gandhara and Kashmir. So he witnessed that in the Gandhara alone, Mahirakula overthrew the stupa and destroyed monasteries, altogether 1,600 foundations. So, including many of Buddhist universities, such as University of Nalanda, Virakamashila, Jadagala, and Odandapuri were destroyed in that period. So that is the devastation and the tragedies of Buddhism. Another new era come. Three fortunate cows there. The fortunate things to raise of Buddhism in India again. By the years of 16, in the 17th century, 1684, the operations of Buddhism for 5 centuries. The new era of Buddhism has started in the 7th century. Muslim rule in India was ended by Maratha king. So in this, that is one of the important historical period. It has led Buddhism rise, helped Buddhism rise again in India. The period when Muslim rules were collapsed and another thing is the arrival of British colony in the 17th century. That is one of the significant things for Buddhism. Third one is the emergence of Mahabodhi society that was already mentioned by Dr. P. Future here, previous keynote speaker. So Mahabodhi society have been significant to the rediscover the Buddhist heritage and to return them to the hand of the Buddhist people. So let me find pioneer for the Buddhist revival movement in India. Venerable Chandramuni is one of them. First one is Sir Alexander Konigam, 1814 and 1893. The Colonel Harry Steele Alcock, I think this name is familiar to all, 1933, 1932, and 1907. Another one is Nagarika Dhammabala, 1865-1933, Venerable, number 4, Venerable Chandramuni. That is the person that I'm going to present about. And the last one, Dr. Ambedkar. This very prominent figure for the revival of Buddhism, rediscover Buddhism in India. So why I mentioned these 5 persons, those are very relevant, the historical persons, pioneers. So let us move on the main person for this presentation. These are 5 persons that I mentioned earlier. Venerable Chandramuni Nagarika Ambedkar, and the Lashandra and Henry Steele Alcock. So I'm not going to take time to present this person. So let us move. Venerable Chandramuni, young and adult life. Venerable Chandramuni was born in June of 1876 in Achap. Achap, I think you may not be familiar with this name. It's a former name of a city. Rakhine State, Western Myanmar. Even today, when you look at the Achap airport, you will see that in the British record. At the age of 10, he became a novice monk named Chom Shimsandara, the moon naming. Meaning is, and he, as a Samanera, had to learn fundamental Buddhist literature from famous Dharma teachers, Venerable Chandima, the Shit Abbot of Chandimarama Monastery, situated. In 1892, I think that is the starting point, how Chandramuni becomes. Nagarika Dhammabala and Colonel Alcock traveled to Myanmar in order to promote Mahabodhi society, to make Buddhist people aware of the accurate conditions of contemporary situations of Buddhism in India at the days of the India and worldwide. They established some health farms of Mahabodhi society in some parts of Myanmar, like Rangoon, Yangon, Mandalay, and Moi Myai. Continuously, they came to the city. They explained their vulnerability and reviving of the Buddhism in India, and also the request and suggested to nominate a young monk, a samanera, novice. The novice who had the necessary courage and qualifications then will be selected and sent to India to promote Buddhism in India to rediscover. The two novices were nominated, Shan and Shan from Venerable Shandima Monastery that I mentioned earlier. In November 1891, two novices were trained and opposed to India, accompanied by the lay attendant Kapia called Dadu. So in the 1892, Chandra returned to Sitwe after facing many difficulties, challenges. However, a few months later, he decided to go back to India, especially it was discovered that he was motivated by a writing at that time newspaper published in Mandalay said, two novice hero, Chasana Ajani, from Rakhine State were sent to India for revival of Buddhism in India, arranged by Mahabodhi Society. It is believed that they will have been making a difference as to reintroducing revival of Buddhism in this land where the Buddhism was born. Being a Buddhist monk in India at that period was not easy. It is said that. It seems even dangerous. It's said, for example, Hindu Mahan, who was occupying Mahabodhi temple that we see today, that temple was occupied by. Dislike the presence of Buddhist monks and nuns. They don't like being Buddhist monk there. In February 1892, he instigated his followers to ranks. The rest, resulting in the two old monks being severely beaten up by his men. So that is one of the conditions that we can imagine at the time of India, how Buddhist monks were, and the devastations or tragedies being monks in India. There was another thing is that after some years, there was the sad circumstance of the outbreaking, cholera. It's called cholera. I think it's the 18th century. We all know that it was happening, very sad circumstances. It's pandemic at the time. In the 1899, Chandra was transferred to Moi Myai because to avoid such dangerous circumstances. Then to Mandalay, he learned there the traditional priority education, monastery education, to study the Pali scripture, especially Buddhist philosophy, under several renowned teachers in Mandalay. In the years of 1903, under the guidance of Venerable Chandima was a preceptor, Chandra received higher ordination, sponsored by Rakhine Martian Uchozori, we call it Chozori. His wife, Dhammasami. Taking a new name of Chandra Muni, he became Bhikkhu, adding money. His ceremony was held Banwar, now which was located in the southern Bangladesh. Banwar is very important, I think, famous city where the English colony and Burmese were fighting in the post-war Burmese-English war, I think. He spent 80 years in India and all his adult life to rediscover and promote Bodhisasana. So now I'm going to present his contribution in total, listing all things in brief. In 1908, he established a small monastery in Migadawo, Deer Park. Forests at that time, the place was not like this we see today. It was covered by tree and forest. Because Sanet, where the Varanasi, the Lord Buddha had preached the first summer, the Machaka Bodhana. Venerable also opened new temples throughout India. Many temples today, we can see throughout India, the Venerable arranged or opened. In the 1901, Sayadaw Chandramuni, Venerable Chandramuni and Merchant Uchojori made applications to English governor or India in Kolkata, seeking his permissions to allow pilgrims to worship the historic reclining Buddha's image inside Mahaparinibbana temple. After that, facing many difficulties, their attempts were successful and are officially approved by Indian governments, Kushinagar, as site of Buddhist Mahaparinibbana. So it means today we see the Parinibbana at that time, it was not hand or Buddhist people, not in hand of Buddhist people, because Venerable Endeavour, he tirelessly worked for this, though it was recorded historically how he tried to get it back to the hand of Buddhist people. In Migarao, and today we see the Pichawagia Deer Park. In the 1904, the Asian Parinibbana temple once again became a living shrine, possessed by Venerable Chandramuni. It was a significant step in the Buddhist revival movement. And it has made Kushinagar one of the most secret Buddhist shrines for the pilgrims to visit and worship. After some years, Venerable opened non-fee-paying primary schools for children from poor families. And the secondary schools, later they were handed over to the government. Later on, Kushinagara Degree College was also built by Venerable. The famous Kushinagara Degree College still stands today as symbol or Sayadaw, symbol or Venerable's love and affections for these people. It is believed that many students who learn and graduate from Venerable Chandramuni primary, secondary, and college, even today, are working all over India. All of them occupying responsible. It's believed that. Venerable Chandramuni started to translate the Mahabharata into Hindi in 1909. 1,000 copies were distributed in India. He also translated 2 important medical books from Sanskrit to Burmese. His translations from Pali into Hindi and Sanskrit included Mahastiptana Sutta, Anatta Lakkhana Sutta, and Sangati Sutta. He spent most of his time translating other Buddhist books, documents, and journals into Hindi and Sanskrit so that Indians will become interested in Buddhism and understand it better. Sayadaw Venerable Chandramuni also played a dominant role reviving the Buddha Sasana in Nepal. Maybe this account a little go beyond my scope, but let me present this shortly, briefly. In Nepal, by ordaining Nepal into the Sangha and guiding them in the Dhamma Vinaya. At the time where there was no Bhikkhu Sangha in Nepal. By the years of 1936, Venerable Amitananda was another well-known Buddhist scholar, pioneer, who ordained in 1936 under Venerable Chandramuni in Kushinagara. A young Nepal girl, another even important thing is, named Geshe Guru Kumari, came to Venerable and ordained under Venerable. She becomes very famous later on as Venerable, known as Venerable Dhammawati, but she is known to Burmese people, the main ship. I think you may have read the Venerable Rewara writing the main ship, the book's name. She came throughout India and studied in the Momyai, become very famous. I think one of our friends, Dhamma friends from Nepal, Venerable, were present about her after me, just after me. She is one of the living examples today and who benefited from endeavors of Venerable. Therefore, it is possible to say that due to great effort of Venerable Chandramani in the Buddha's dispensation today, in the land where the Buddha was born, is flourishing and providing the fruit of the Dhamma to its people. One of the most impressive historical works of Venerable Chandramani was held in the 14th October 1956. The occasion was that 3,800,000, yeah, Dali, is it called Dali means, lower caste. The people from untouchable is called untouchable, led by Dr. Ambedkar in Nagapura, today Nagapur, converted to Buddhism in single day. Thus, the credit for making Buddha Sasana, once again, living in the region in India, must go to the Dr. Ambedkar and his mentor, Venerable Chandramani. It's recognized that it has been never before that such numbers of people change another religion without force in human history. Venerable Chandramani has participated in a 6th Buddhist Council in the Rangoon in 1956. Dr. Ambedkar also joined the council as a world leader at that time to observe it, where he met Venerable Chandramani. From that meeting, such incredible movements mentionable happened after 5 months later in India. Venerable Chandramani came to India 1890 and passed away in the... Now, I'm going to conclude my presentation. Venerable Chandramani came to India in 1890 and passed away in the 1972, nearly 100. At the age of 97, he spent 80 years in India, which is all his adult life, to rediscover, promote Buddhist Sasana. Devotees of his native towns, Acha, situated today, made a bronze statues of Venerable Chandramani and installed in the local monastery in the 1973. It was later moved to the, we call it Paraji. I think we understand the Buddhist statue. It is located in the middle of the city, capital city of the Rakhine State today. The statue, and again, moved to, and other relevant monuments are placed at now the new building in honor of Venerable, which can be seen today in the nearby Situate Airport. I'm going to show you some photo of this later on. So let me conclude my presentation by saying this. Some physical and spiritual heritage we generation today benefit are the results of Venerable and others that we have already presented earlier. However, it is unfortunate that works and lives of Venerable, work and lives and Venerable Chandramani as a Rakhine's Theravada monk has not been highlighted and appreciated enough. We believe that as long as Buddhist revival movement in India is concerned. So it is believed that in this within time frame, 20 or 25 minutes, I couldn't finish all his works and life. Anyway, there is some of the books and the articles, journals have been writing about Venerable, but very less academic sittings now. The presenting and population in an academic way. So it's necessary to discover and to explore more about Venerable. And it is believed that Venerable works and how was dedicated his entire life to reintroduce Buddhism, especially in India, and left many memorable things that should not be forgotten that should not be hidden anymore. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Venerable Dr. Varanyana, for touching upon this very important topic. As you have highlighted, we have 5 missionaries who try to revive Buddhist teaching in India, and as Venerable Chandamuni stands forth prior to the Dr. Ambedkar, who has introduced Buddhism in India called the Neo-Buddhism. Yes, many of his followers are there till nowadays. And also thank to Venerable Chandramuni that now that Kushinaga, or in Myanmar we call Kuti Nayo, where the Buddha take into Parinibbana, that reclining Buddha has been, the pilgrimage, Buddhist pilgrimage has the opportunity to pay respect and also once again admire the heritage of the Buddha. So due to the shortage of time, I think we have only 2 very short and brief questions. So please identify yourself and be short and concise. Thank you.
My name is Venerable Nansan. I appreciate your presentation. You have mentioned Rakhine monk Sandra Muni, who plays significant role in the revival of Buddhism in India for his life. So my question is to you. You is how Sandra Muni propagated Buddhism in a part of Myanmar or in a part of Rakhine state. Is there anything there?
How?
Venerable Sandra Muni propagates Buddhism in Myanmar, in Rakhine state.
Rakhine state.
Yeah.
Apart from India, you mean, right?
Yeah. All the time I see your presentation. It make the revival of Buddhism in India.
Yeah.
So, as the Venerable Sandra Muni was Rakhine monk from in Myanmar, this he propagated Buddhism in Myanmar.
So, Venerable, as I mentioned earlier, Venerable spent almost all his life, 80 years in India. So, I think he is dedicated and devoted all his life in India. But we don't have a cult that Rakhine state, but very young age he left Rakhine state, right? So the provided by, as I mentioned, the Mahabodhi Society, came to India, and he is working. I think very less evident that he was promoting and contributing Buddhism. Maybe his book, right? Maybe contributing other worldwide. Other people apart from India, right? Other countries. Oh. But we don't have such evidence that he walked outside of India. Yeah, all his life in India.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your answer.
Am I answering your questions? I don't know.
Yes, but I most appreciate you talking. You mentioned about Sandra Muni also participate at the Buddhist
Council.
Yeah.
6 Buddhist Council.
Yeah.
It was
to mention that about
wonderful event because he met Ambedkar there. So after that, so wonderful, incredible thing that I mentioned happened because they are together walk. The people, especially for Dalit and the lower caste. So, yeah.
Yes,
for social justice. Yes, thank you.
Sorry, finish.
Finish. Yes.
Yes, one last question, please. If any? Yes, our Dean of the Academic Affairs, Dr. Benya Boga, has a question.
Thank you very much, Dr. Varanyana, for your presentation. As we listen from previous Venerable working, we learned that the monastic institution. Now I just briefly regarding the Venerable Chandramuni, as he has promote Buddhism in India, and many he has many projects. So what about his monastic education background? For example, like previous Rector Sayadaw, the language skills, just, you know, to promote Buddha Sasana, we need to study the language skill is one of the key. So, okay, I understand that he spent his time 80 years in India, not in the monastic institution in India. So, but anyhow, I would like to know how come he can promote Buddhism without using any languages. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the questions. I have mentioned some of the facts that after cholera, the pandemic happened. He was sent to the Monmai. And some years he spent in Mandalay. But the biography, it doesn't mention, he passed some of the level of the monastic exams, but he is very good at Pali and a Sanskrit, very learned person in Sanskrit, and Pali too. But it doesn't mention how he passed just like Patamaji or Dhammacharya, but it is very sure that he translating the Pali into the Hindi, like the Mahasatipatthana Sutta and some others discourses into Pali Sanskrit, Hindi to the Burmese. So not mention, even it's not mentioned the level, what kind of the level he passed and was successful, but it's very sure that looking at his endeavors, so his language skill is mentioned 4 languages that he speaks, Hindi and I think, but not favorite. I think favor English, but Hindi is very well writing and speaking, and Sanskrit too. Sanskrit, yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Varanyana, and all those who have raised the question. And without taking much of the time, let me invite another speaker online. Venerable Dr. Prasanavadi, I think you are online there. Are you ready? Yes, so Venerable Dr. Prasanavadi would be touching upon charismatic female leader Venerable Dhammasami, which Venerable Dr. Varanyana has just highlighted as the Miche, and her contributions for propagating Buddhism in Nepal and worldwide. Let me introduce our panelists to our audience. Venerable Prasanavadi is a Theravada Buddhist nun from Nepal and born in 1986 in Kathmandu in a medium-class family with 3 siblings, and she received her ordination at the age of 17 from Sri Lanka. And she has been learning Buddhism in Nepal since her childhood and received her further education in Buddhism and English in Sri Lanka. It is noted that she has completed her diploma in English in 2008 and BA in Arts in 2008 and her Master of Arts degree in 2010 respectively. And she was awarded by Whole Family Foundation Scholarship from Harvard Divinity School for the academic year 2015-2016 and complete 1-year non-degree master course successfully. She continued her study in Buddhism and Pali, awarded by the Philosophy of Doctorate in 2020 from Postgraduate Institute of Pali and Buddhist Studies, University of Kenya in Sri Lanka, with a research entitled The 7 Factors of Enlightenment, a Critical Study. And after coming back from Sri Lanka in 2020, she has been engaging in meditation retreats, teaching Dhamma discourses in television and live. And since 2021, she is giving lectures to the masters and MPhil students in the Center Department of Buddhist Studies in Tribhuvan University, Kathmandu, Nepal. So now, Venerable Dr. Prasanavadi, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Venerable. Can you see my slides?
Yes, we can, Venerable.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Most Venerable Mahasangha, Venerable nuns, all the presentators, moderates, and all the participants, and all the devotees. Good afternoon. First of all, let me express my sincere gratitude and happiness for allowing me to present a paper in this important and meaningful conference. And I also wish a happy birthday to Most Venerable Oxford Sayadaw. Soko Rogo Vinasato. May the blessings of Triple Gems on you always. So today I'm going to talk about the charismatic female leader, Venerable Dhammawati, and her contributions for propagating Buddhism in Nepal and worldwide. I am Prasannavati from Nepal. My slides are not moving, sorry. Okay. So my contents are here. I will talk about the short biography of Venerable Dhammawati. Also, I will talk about her journey from Nepal to Kushinagar till her ordination, and from Kushinagar to Myanmar. After that, her journey back to Nepal and her challenges. Most important thing, I will talk about the remarkable contributions. Then after that, the inspirations from her life. So I will also share some of her photos, showcase her contributions. So I think many of you have been seeing her. This is Venerable Dhammawati. And talking about her short biography, she is Venerable Dhammawati, the founder of Dharmakirti Vihara and the director of Non-Sangha in Nepal. Born in 1934 at Lalitpur. So she has been 90 years old now. Her lay name was Ganesh Kumari Shakya. So since her surname was Sakya, then she belonged to Shakya lineage, which is Buddha's lineage too. So her parents were Harshaman Sakya and Hirathaku Shakya. She has 3 siblings, and she belonged to Vajrayana Buddhism. And I would like to explain a little bit that we have in Nepal, there are 3 branches of Buddhism: Theravada Buddhism, Mahayana Buddhism, and later adopted was Vajrayana Buddhism. So Vajrayana was more about mixed with Mahayana and Hinduism. So she also was awarded the title Sasanandhaja Dhammacharya in 1962. So I think all of you have been familiar about this difficult and very important award. And also she was awarded by Agga Mahagantha Vachaka Pandita and also Bhashathuva. So earlier 2 awards were given by Myanmar. Then the Bhashathuva means the Bhasha means the language, honor of language was given by government of Nepal. So at the age of 14, when she ordained. So before ordain, in Nepal, we used to wear sari. So before ordain and after ordain. So Ganesh Kumari Shakya, later Dhammawati, we also call Guruma, grew up in a time when women were forbidden by the Rana regime to study. I think you are not familiar with the Rana regime. It is the dynasty from the Kshatriya and more about that authoritarianism in the kingdom of Nepal, reducing Saha kingdom to a figure ahead and making prime minister and other government position held by the Rana hereditary. So at that time, those dynasty was so cruel and we can say even iron-fisted rule. So it was so rushed and harsh. So many of us, especially women, were not allowed to study. And if a woman would study even a few alphabets, they would call witch. So in that condition, she was grew up. But fortunate enough, in 1949, she was able to meet and listen the Dhamma talk given by U Dhamma Stabira, who visited Sumangala Vihara at Lalitpura. Actually, he was living in Burmese Vihara in Kushinagar at the time. So he is a Burmese monk and he accompanied to Venerable Buddha Kosha, a Nepal monk. So Ganesha Kumari was inspired by the Dhamma talk given by him. Then with her two friends, Subbalakshmi and sister Manohara Devi, they decided to learn further Theravada Buddhism. For that, whenever U Dhamma Udastabir suggested them to ordain as a nun and go to Burma for the Theravada Tripitaka studies, even he promises to make arrangements if they will decide to go. Ganesh Kumari immediately decided to leave household life to learn Theravada Buddhism. As I have mentioned, at the time for female, there were no freedom and we can say little freedom and were not able to study properly and they were mostly living in house. In that condition, her father, her shaman, refuses her proposal while her mother, it was like fortunate enough that her mother, Hirathako, was consent on her decision. So it became a plus point that her mother supported her decision, but her brother and father didn't. But her second brother and her mother supported him to run away from home to go to Kusinagar. So here I have said she ran away from Kathmandu to Kushinagar with her two friends and their mother. I said this because she has to go secretly without knowing to her father. So it was also a kind of inspirational moment for young nuns and even monks for us that how she could determined and she could think of the future and leave the house even father didn't allowed. So she was ordained as a precept nun under Venerable Chandramani Mahastabir and Venerable U Dhamma Udastabir. As my Dhamma friend Venerable Waranyana already mentioned that Chandramani Mahastabir who gave the 8 precept to Ganesha Kumari and ordained as a Dhamma Vati. And I didn't write further things about her two friends also. Actually, they also ordained there. And this is whenever U Dhamma Uda. And here is the journey from Kushinagar to Myanmar. It was very difficulties in obtaining visa for Ganesha Kumari. That's why because she was under 16 at the time she was only 14 and if she needs a visa or passport she has to take the authority from fathers and father was not allowing him anyway. That's why it was a big problem, like it's almost impossible to go to Myanmar without passport and visa. But where there is a way, there is a will. Where there is a will, there is a way. So she found a different and unimaginable way. What is that? That is the foot. By foot, she thought to go to Myanmar. So by foot from Assam to Burma with his teacher. Whenever U Dhamma Uda, they went to Myanmar. So on the way, actually I said here she, but they experienced many difficulties like seeing tigers, pythons, and difficult part of Naga people in jungle and so on. So after arriving to Rangoon also, at present it is Yangon. So it was not easy because she has no passport and visa. Without passport and visa, she was not allowed to stay in Myanmar. That's why she was detained by the police for 12 days. And because, as I have said, no passport and visa. So later she was released because of her keen devotion to the Buddha's teaching. So there are long stories, so we can read about her biography for detailed information. Then for the 6 months, even she stayed with accountant there and learned Myanmar language also. In 1952, she began her studies at Khema Ramanan Study Center at Molmin under the guidance of Nun Panyachari and Sukhachari. At initial period, she has difficulties in financially also, but later she got a scholarship as a result of her keen intelligence and diligence. She was awarded, I have mentioned also in Dhammacharya, she was awarded Dhammacharya, Sasandaja Dhammacharya in 1962. So here I have given a little picture about the Naga chieftain and also Tamitse, the beloved daughter, which was first written in Myanmar language, then later translated in many languages. So her journey back to Nepal and her challenges. Nepal and her challenges, okay. In 1963, after 14 years stay in Myanmar, whenever Dhammaoti returned to Nepal and began to teach Buddhism to large gathering of devotees. But before that, she has to face many challenges because there is no place to stay, no vihara for nuns to stay especially. Then she had to face also another challenges because of the Vikumha Sangha in Nepal. They were not allowing her to preach the Dhamma and allowing to attend some of the ceremonies. So those are also challenges. Also, she was a pioneer in taking Bhikkhuni ordination in 1988 in California and received the higher ordination in the Chinese Dharmagupta lineage and becoming the first Nepalese bhikkhuni. So that become also little challenging work for her. And also another most challenging thing was she was suffered by tremendous sickness, cancer. Anyway, she overcome all these challenges. And in 1965, so here I would like to talk about the remarkable contributions. So overcoming all the challenges in 1965, after coming back to Nepal, after 2 years, she established Dharmakirti Vihara at Sriga, Kathmandu. It is the center of Kathmandu city with the help of her family and devotees. And she also has friends Ratnamanjari and Venerable Gunawati from Myanmar, helped to Venerable Dhammaoti in her every work. So she made 2 disciples there, Venerable Kamala and Dhammadina. Later, she added or increased her disciple until 56. So this is the old Dharmakirti Vihara, and this is the new one at present. So spreading Dhamma by launching the different program in Nepal. So one of the most important contributions of her in Nepali community and Sangha community is that he launches many programs like ritual performances, especially Buddha Puja. Because my screen is Buddha Puja, which was scheduled 5 times a month. Shorter versions was offered every morning and evening. So this has 5 basic components, like giving 5 precepts first, then offering flowers, waters, and foods, and also giving the Dhamma sermon by Venerable Dhammavati, or in her absence by other nuns, reciting chanting Parita, giving dana by lay followers. So these all works seems now normal and very easy things for the Buddhist countries, but at that time, Nepali society was full of Hindu people and Vajrayana and Mahayana people. So there were very little, we can say, Theravada people here who knows about Theravada Buddhism. And also it was such a challenging societies here because if they are Buddhist, then they are mostly Mahayana and Vajrayana. So they follow the customs of them, and it is difficult for them to convert, I can say, or convince to follow this kind of things. Anyway, she continued, and I'm happy to say that she's still doing this. And Dhamma sermon, especially not only by Dhammavati Guruma now, or it will be held by many other nuns also, even sometimes lay followers also.
Excuse me, Venerable, the Master
Yes.
Sister, could you please summarize?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Okay, these are the posts they will make, and Dharma sermon. So many of the contributions she has been doing, I will just summarize within few minutes. So she taught to children also. That is the initial work, that children are educated, then they will bring their parents also. So for that, established the Buddhist Study Circle Committee for adolescents and young adults in 1970. So from 1972, they published the magazine once a year, but later it was published every month. Until now, it is continuing. So it will be in Nepali, Newari, and English languages. So this study circle community attend classes in every Friday, and Parity classes, especially Parity classes for children, in every Saturday, Friday and Saturday. So main objective of Venerable Dhammavati to educate or make it accessible this Dhamma to many people as possible. So in early period, she taught the basic teachings like Jataka Dhamma, order like that. But later on, the deeper Dhamma teachings like Satipatthana and Abhidharma also were taught. And not even in urban areas, she went to teach, and even sent to countryside also to propagate Dhamma in countryside. So she also established Samakiti Buddhist Library, and nuns as ritual specialists. I have said here because in Nepal there is a custom that every girl before menses they will be sitting as a one room in a dark room. So that custom was a Hindu, but for taking the benefit and teaching to the ladies or the girls, Rishini Papaja, the ordination of a sage, like sitting as a 8 precept in temple. So it made the converting the people, or letting the girls to learn about Buddhism sitting in a temple. And welcoming expertise, Buddhist expertise, and exchanging the knowledges. And even she opened the Dharmakiti Health Clinic, free health clinic, also public image committees which publish many CD and DVDs. Also in 2016, established Dhammakiti Gyan Mala Bhajan. This is the very unique way of singing devotional songs, so which attracted many people too. So taking Buddhist pilgrimage to local sites and even abroad, and starting meditation retreat. So in that way, she even attended many conferences, and now she has 56 disciples who have learned from abroad also. And she has 5 branches of Vihara and many thousands of lay devotees who are benefited from her propagation of Dhamma. So she has written and translated more than 300 books in Nepali and Newari languages. So her tireless effort to propagating Buddhism in Nepal and worldwide continues to this day also. And inspirations from her life. I'm very end of this this presentation. So how can we inspire from her life? Honest devotion and strong determination with hard work lead for all good success in life and welfare for many. So her leadership ability is outstanding, which we can learn from her. She is also a role model known for a new generation. So her keen intelligence, scholarship, and good sense of humor have earned her respect well beyond the ethnic Newar community, Buddhist community. Without her enormous effort and dedication, non-Sangha in Nepal would not be seen and counted as it is now. So at the end, I would like to share some of the photos with her friends. She is teaching and she was taking the Mahagantabachak Pandit Awards. And this is the president of Nepal taking the award. And last year she was awarded by lay devotees as appreciation in her 90th birthday. And the clinic, I think blood donation this is, and the health clinic, teaching the pariyati, and the quiz contents, prize giving, and whenever Nyanestara Sayadaw visited in Nepal, and Aung San Suu Kyi, who visited Nepal, and offering to Sangha. So I think these are, and her critical situation, cancer. Yet she is preaching Dhamma till now. And this is the photo with Prime Minister in Nepal, KP Oli Sarma. So this, I got the award from her. Thank you so much. That's all. Thank you so much for attentive listening.
Thank you so very much, Sister Dr. Prasanawati, for your wonderful presentation on the courage, challenges, sacrifice, and contribution of Venerable Dhammasami, the pioneer of the Buddhist Theravada Buddhist nun, and how she contribute to the Buddha's teaching to the public, and also how she wonderfully performed communal works till now. Then we wish her very good health, sound health, and long life. So since your presentation has been very clear, then I hope you won't offend that we don't allow any more questions. And if you kindly agree, let me move on to the next speaker, Sister. And for the next speaker and the last one, I would like to invite Ms. Sulekna Bhattacharya, a PhD research scholar from Nalanda Mahavihara in India. So Ms. Sulekna Bhattacharya, PhD scholar from Nalanda Mahavihara in the Department of Buddhist Studies, and she's the former research fellow at Asiatic Society, Kolkata, India, and the M.M. Hara Prasad Shasti project, MA in Buddhist Studies from the University of Kolkata in India. And she holds a diploma degree in Tibetan language and culture from the School of Language and Culture under Rabindra Bharati University, Kolkata. And she has published her book chapters and research articles with some of the national and international esteemed publications, and also presented her papers in both national and international seminar and conferences. So today she would like to highlight life and work of Guru Padmasambhava and his influence in the Silk Route regions. So now, Madam, the floor is yours. So please wind up your presentation at 15 minutes. Thank you.
Pranam everyone. Pranam the land of Myanmar, all our Dhammamittas. My paper is Life and Work of Guru and His Influence in the Silk Route. Well, whenever we try to talk about Guru Padmasambhav, he is such a monumental personality that to explain him in words, it's really too tough work. So my introduction is, here my PPT is, as we all know, Guru Padmasambhav, popularly known as Guru Rinpoche, and that derived from Tibetan Himalayan Buddhism. Am I audible, sister?
Hear you. Yes, madam, we can hear you. Well enough. Thank you.
His personality not only changed the socio-religious status of Tibet, but also established the political fortune and made Tibet as a supreme political power in Central Asia, along with with Silk Route regions. And after our great master Gautam Buddha, we all accepted him as Buddha-like personality, and there are many reasons. And his ordination still at the stigma of the Northern Buddhism, because prodigy of Guru Rinpoche established with the recodification of Mantrayana, and by the foundation of Lamaism, Guru Padmasambhav developed the systematic format of old school of Tantra that is popularly known as Nyingmapa sect, and that is a kind of monastic brotherhood. Usually, Guru Padmasambhav and his personality has been created with so much mysteries and very many legends are associated with his journey and historicity. Traditional Himalayan mystic way explained the character of Guru Padmasambhav with 9,999 forms or notions. And the reason is numerous lodes and Kathang literatures, that is mystic or cryptic way of writing, create his feature and create his personality with so much mysteries. He has been coined as the incarnation of Amitabha or Amitabha Buddha, who was the preacher of yoga. This 8th centurion stalwart personality has been explained as lotus born, who was nourished by Dakinis, and that comes through legends. But historically, Guru Padmasambhav was the son of King Indrabhuti of Swat. Presently, it is in Kafiristan in Swat Valley, Pakistan. Even his journey, when it comes about Zahur, creates some legends and mysteries too. His journey to Tibet through the mysterious valley of Zahor. At the same time, his existence also in Nepal created mystery about the route. Born literature, Padma Kathang. We all know Bon were the staunch antagonists of Buddhism, but Bon literature also explained him and his work in Padma Kathang, life history, but in cryptic way. That's also created confusion with another Acharya Padmakara who belongs to 11th century. Bon Chronicles coined him by the name of Pema Tongdrol, and his father was Drenpa Namkha or Tenpa Namkha, who was great Bon master. Journey of Guru Padmasambhav to Tibet has been explained with lore, where he defeated numerous mythical characters and negative energies. But all these facts comes under legends. But when we see the literature and particularly my methodology, when I did this, I found that Bimlachurn law has explained Zahor as the most easterly place of Satadru Basin, the westernmost point of the Lake Manas, that connects Mount Kamet by the southwest, which established the travel route of Guru Padmasambhav. As we know that with bygone year, many routes and many roadways are blocked and political reasons are also there. So here we find that that is not mythical. Guru Padmasambhav was able to connect Zahor with both Nepal and Swat, obviously with Indian subcontinent. The drafts of the Depther Gangpo, which is known as the Blue Annals, said that Guru Padmasambhav and his activities belonged to 8th century and he went Tibet in 747 century. Tibetan Dhamma king Khrisang Detsen invited him to save Buddhism from the fabrication. His work, Bhikshu Sravana Pracha, codified in the Narsang version of Tangyu as Gelong Gidan Poi Lon Drebu in Dulva number 4133, which was later translated by Atish Dipankar and Naksho, who is known as Sulkrim Gyalva. There, in Tibet, Guru Padmasambhav initiated the system of Vajrakila and Hayagriva and bestowed the king Krisendesang and queen Yashasoggyal. Later, Acharya Santigarva went to Tibet for the consecration ceremony of the Samye monastery and initiated the Tantra of Gyampal school. Dhyan Sapna Chakra, the work of Hosang group, who was anti-Buddhist, they basically formed their thought on Swatantra Madhyamik thought. But they were practicing nihilism with the blend, which was blended with other foreign thought and distributing and was disturbing the essence of Buddhism and preaching Quietism. So Tibetans and all the Buddhist practitioners was confused with the proper ideas of Buddhism. Bodhisattva or Buddha looked like idol of born guru Gensharab, and blended practice of Salva doctrine of the Tirthikas were the reason of religious confusion. There was another cause. Secondly, the scenario of Tibet before the reaching of Guru Padmasambhav according to the drafted history. As we all know, Tibet received Buddhism in 7th century during the reign of 33rd Yerlung Emperor Songtsen Gampo. Spiritual influence of his two queens, Vrikuti Devi from Nepal and Wencheng from China, were the key factor behind the establishment of the temples of Ramoche and Lasafrulma Kishuglakha Zokhang for the deities of Akshavya Buddha and Maitra Buddha, respectively. On 669 CE, Emperor Songtsen Gampo founded his capital, Lhasa, and he commissioned 108 temples in Lhasa and other part of Tibet, along with 108 chapels in Chinese territories which were under his supremacy. Emperor himself never converted to Buddhism because of numerous hereditary aspects, but his political and moral virtues were partially influenced by Buddhism, which are depicted in his edict. Buddhism shaped up whole Tibetan society with modern approach of education. Despite of having best trade performance among the kings of the Silk Route trade tract of Afghanistan to Bactria, Tibetans were isolated just because of communication gap, which was very much influenced by their indigenous shamans. political accuracy of Emperor Songtsen Gampo was a major factor behind the systemized Tibetan orthography and developed from Gupta Brahmi scripts, Khotanese and Ranjana, along with some esoteric signs, and grammar established from Ashtadhyayi of Panini. Whole socio-religious system of Tibet and other Tibetan occupied nomad regions become Sanskritized by embracing Buddhism. Indigenous shamans started to lose their socio-political power with the popularity of Buddhism in Tibet and other Tibetan occupied territories of China and other regions, which planted internal conflict. After Songtsen Gampo, Tibet was occupied by China and received many political and religious upsurges who was keen to inject Taoism among Tibetans. King Krishan Desang acquired his broad stretched kingdom through hereditary base, but after Emperor Songtsen Gampo, internal conundrum also arises within multiple hearships, as he was the first person from the royal family who adopted Buddhism. Outbursts of the forbidden conflict arise when Dhamma King Krishan Desang invited scholars from Nalanda. King himself was against of born religion, and despite all odds, he invited Acharya Shantarakshit from Nalanda University to systemize the practice of Buddhism, but he was forced to leave the land. Again, King invited Acharya Kamalsil from the Nalanda University, who was the pupil of Acharya Shantarakshit. When he was about to win the debate, at that time he was murdered by the antagonist. Then such a political and socio-religious conundrum happened in Tibet that no one was able to perform anything there. So Acharya Shantarakshit advised king to invite Acharya Padmashambhav of Nalanda University because he was the doyen of Tantra and able to deal with every odd of Tibet. Because before that, Acharya Shantarakshit inferred the temperament of the Tibetans as they were indulged themselves in the corrupt practice of Buddhism, and many of them practicing Dhamma, either with confusion or driven by the fear of indigenous priests. At that time, manual of Tantra was not drafted, so aboriginal practices of sacrifice, spirit worship, totemism, etc. again attracted Tibetans and other tribes of the Silk Road region as a mode of quickest way of bliss. Padmasambhav himself was the Acharya of Nalanda and he has huge contribution as we all know. But his transformation from Acharya to Guru was a huge part. Journey of Padmasambhav to Tibet was equally full of legends like his birth story. It is said when he was trying to reach Tibet, he was disturbed by bad spirits, witchcraft and evils, but he won against all odds. These all are comes under legends. Tibetan king was facing problem to build Samye monastery, which was initiated by Acharya Shantarakshit for the purpose of Buddhist scriptural work along with religious practice. Padmasambhav observed the problem and performed Vajrakila ritual and performance, which is known as the sacred tantric dance of Vajrayana. By defeating the Vasan and his group in debate, he established the lineage of Mantrayana justified by the philosophy of Vijnanvad that deal with Tathata and Shunyata. Padmasambhav successfully established the systematic format of the old school of Tantra with the drafting of the scriptures and by the translation of sacred Buddhist texts. The historical Samye monastery became the hub of orthography, and numerous scholars from Tibet, Nepal, and India associated with the writing and translating program under the mastership of Padmasambhav, which was classified under his 26 disciples.
Excuse me, Madam, could you please summarize in a few minutes?
Yeah, but his most significant contribution was to invoke the essence of six-syllable mantra Om Mani Padme Hum and initiated the custom of torma or rice cake sacrificing instead of animal blood. Again, how Padmasambhav is still living, if we try to say, then with the foundation of Nyingmapa sect, Padmasambhav and his thought is still living. Basically, this school comes under the yoga system and that divided under 9 principal doctrines. Padmasambhav basically initiated the system of yoga that is classified under Oti Yoga, Anu Yoga, and Yoga. Nantho Rangrial and Changsem, these 3 doctrines ordained by Sakyamuni, which are applicable for the all yanas. Kriya, Upa, and Yoga, this section has been ordained by Vajrasvata. Kepa Mahayog, Loon, Yanu Yoga, and Dzogchen Po Oti Yoga, this section has been delivered by Shamantabhadra and Kuntu Sangpo. And this yoga section has been divided in 2 sections, that is Bhajya, the external, and Antara, the internal. Kriya Tantra and the rituals comes under external practices, and other all sections come under Antara or Anuttara Yoga. And the contribution of Padmasambhav is still existing with the foundation of Anuttara Yoga. How Padmasambhav reached beyond Tibet, and that comes with the supremacy with the Tibet, because up to 11th century, Tibet and Tibetan supremacy was the strongholders over Central Asia along with Bhutan. Up to 11th century, Tibetan was the lingua franca of Central Asia. So, it said earlier that there are many disciples of Padmasambhav from various regions. So, Dharmavadi previously was a disciple of Saraha who drifted to the notions of Padmasambhav. King Krishandesang himself was the disciple of Padmasambhav.
Excuse me, could you please summarize? Can you hear me?
Yes, sister. Yes, sister. Just few minutes. How Padmasambhav and his thought, or Nyingma thought, describe the stretch that through Dupaido class. This sect was basically dogmatic sect, but they massively spread from Nepal and Upper Bactria. Text of the sects also translated in other languages. Semcho practitioners popularly spread their fleet up to Central Asia, and Gyalthum sect, all they fleeted up to Usain, Kham, and Upper Ladakh areas. So still how Padmasambhava is relevant, because still we have his foundation, his practices within us. So here all about my paper. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, sister, for your presentation, touching upon about the Guru Padmasambhava, also known as Guru Rinpoche. Then we have learned about his personality and journey, and about the socio-political case study of Tibet, and about the religious practices in Tibet, and also the journey and the role of Guru Padmasambhava in Tibet and the Silk Route region. As we have 2 more sessions to go, and I really hope that you won't mind and offend that we won't have any question for your presentation. And since we have your full presentation, thank you very much for your contribution, and we really appreciate it. Thank you once again. So, most venerable esteemed members of the Sangha and all the distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this paper presentation section 3 for this afternoon. and we have all the 4 papers presented. The first 2 touch upon the contribution of the Burmese Bhikkhu in the spreading and propagation of Buddhism in England and India. And the last 2 touch upon about the contribution of the women figure, about the Nepalese nun, Venerable Dhammavadi, and another one about the Guru Padma Sambhava. So now I would like to thank you very much to our esteemed speakers and all those who have participated. Now I would like to hand over the session to our MC. Now the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sayadaw Dr. Yusana Nyani. We are grateful for your leading our sections and highlighting the important keynotes engaging into the successful session. This is my heartfelt thanks to our speakers for giving such wonderful presentations. Let all of your presentations impart as a Buddhist prominent features around the world. Continuously, this is the time for conferring certificates to show the honorable appreciation to our speakers, moderator and MC, and taking group photos. For conferring certificates, may I humbly invite our most venerable Dr. Panyaboga, our acting team of academic effort, to come in front and offer our admirable speakers and moderator. For online speakers, we prepare to provide online certificates. You will receive your certificates via email shortly. Venerable Panyaboga, please. And now to receive the certificate, Venerable Varajnana, may I invite you to come in front. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. To receive certificate, may I invite Sayadaw Dr. Yusana Nyani to come in front. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you so much, Sayadaw Panyaboga and our venerable speakers and moderator. Now we reach to the end of section 3 for the first day of conference. I'm grateful for all of your significant contributions. With your remarkable participations, we complete this session successfully, passing the insightful comprehension.